Well, hello everyone again. Today's today's Monday, April 20th. Time for another chapter from Grenade. I believe we're up to chapter 16 now, huh? Today's chapter is called Monster, and it's from the perspective of Ray. So, here we go. Ray and his squad were a few hours into their rainy march when he heard explosions. He ducked instinctively, but the bombs weren't on top of them. Not yet, anyways. Japanese mortars, Big John said. Things weren't going well on the front lines, so as Big John had promised, the 1st Marines were being ordered south to fight there. The soldiers of the Army's 96th Division, currently fighting at the front, were to swap places with them, continuing the lighter duty of clearing caves and securing the northern part of the island while they recuperated. "How can you tell one explosion from another?" Ray asked. "You got shot at enough times, you get to recognize the sound," Big John told him. "You haven't faced mortars yet, have you, Barbecue?" the old man asked, walking along beside him. "Mortars lob bombs at you from a long way off, like a long fly ball." The old man whistled while he made an arcing motion with his hand. "Lots of new guys. They don't know the secret to running through mortar fire." "Run zigzagging?" Ray guessed. The old man shook his head. "No, you run straight away. No turning, no looking back. That's how you survive a mortar attack." "Stay low and don't bunch up," Ray thought. Just what the sergeant had told him as they came off the boat. Sergeant Meredith, that was. Ray had to remember that Big John was their sergeant now. Stark's long legs took him on up ahead, and Big John fell in beside Ray as they walked. "I love the old man like a brother," Big John said, "but he's dead wrong about how to survive a mortar attack, Barbecue." Ray frowned. "I should run zigzagging after all?" "Nah. The secret to running through artillery is that it doesn't matter what you do," he told Ray. "You zig, you make it. You zag, maybe you get hit. There's a bomb or a bullet or a grenade out there with everyone's name on it. And it's going to get you. If it's going to get you, it's going to get you." That's a heck of a way to live your life, Ray thought. Knowing that death could catch up to you any second and that nothing you did made a difference. Ray wondered again about his father from the First World War, hiding in foxholes, pinned down by Germans, listening to the bombs explode all around him. Had he also expected death at any second? Was that what had broken him, made him into a monster? Ray touched the long scar on the inside of his left arm and remembered how he'd gotten it. Ray had been shooting a rifle since he was 6, and every winter it was his job to shoot the hogs before he and his father hung them up to be butchered. It had been the same every year until he was 11 years old. That year, Ray's father had stood to the side with his butcher knife like always, waiting for Ray to put down one of the pigs. But that year, everything went wrong. Usually, one .22 rifle slug was enough to kill a pig. But this pig didn't die with one shot. It took the bullet and squealed, staggering away. The high-pitched screeching was the most awful thing Ray had ever heard, and he immediately felt sick. He hadn't meant for the pig to suffer. Ray hurried to take aim with his rifle again to put the poor thing out of its misery. And that's when his father had gone crazy. "No!" Ray's father screamed. "Stay away from him! Get away!" And suddenly he ran at Ray with the butcher knife. Ray got the rifle up just in time to block the first of his father's slashes. But the next one caught Ray on the inside of his left arm, carving a deep gash from the wrist almost all the way down to the elbow. Ray screamed and dropped the rifle. He ducked his father's next attack and ran for the house, clutching his arm to his chest. His mother drove him to the hospital for stitches, and when they got back, his father wouldn't look him in the eye. But Pa had never apologized, never tried to explain, and none of them had spoken a word about it, about what had happened, ever again. As many times as Ray had replayed that day in his head, he had still never understood exactly what it was that had set his father off. Was it the gunshot? The pig squealing? Ray chasing it down? Like all the other times his father had gotten violent and unpredictable, there was no understandable reason for it. But that time had been the worst. That time it had cost Ray 2 pints of blood and the last bit of love he'd had for his father. "Okinawans!" someone yelled, waking Ray from his reverie. "Refugees coming through the lines!" Ray instinctively tightened his grip on his rifle, and he saw the other Marines raise theirs under the rain capes. Big John had kept Sergeant Meredith's new rule about not killing Okinawans. But any encounter made the squad jumpy. There was no mistaking these people as anything but refugees, though. There was no mistaking these people as anything but refugees, though. Their hair and clothes were filthy. They had scratches and poorly bandaged wounds, and none of them looked like they had had a good meal in a month. But the worst part was the fear on their faces. Like Ray and all the others were the most frightening monsters they'd ever seen. Some of them couldn't even look at the Marines. They were so scared. If they're so frightened of us, what are they doing here? Ray wondered. He lowered his rifle and started for a woman with a baby in her arms. "Some of them are Jap soldiers," Big John cried. Ray watched in stunned horror as a Japanese soldier dressed as one of the Okinawans tossed aside his ratty blanket he hid beneath and shot the old man dead. More Japanese soldiers did the same. "Don't let them through! Shoot! Shoot!" Big John yelled, and the Marines opened up on them. They didn't know who was Japanese and who was Okinawan, and they didn't wait to find out. When the last rifle fired, the Marines stood in pouring rain, surrounded by bodies. Some of the dead were American Marines, some were Japanese soldiers, but many more were Okinawan refugees who had needed their help. Ray let the tip of his rifle drop into the mud and looked around in horror. In his panic, he'd fired round after round into the crowd. He had to have killed innocent Okinawans. He just knew it. In just a few awful seconds, he had become the monster these people were so afraid of. More of a monster than his father had ever been. And the worst part was, Ray knew he'd do it again if he had to. That's the end of chapter 16. It is a brutal book. I hope everyone's enjoying it. I hope it's not too brutal for you guys. Once again, I'd love to get your feedback on what you're thinking. Feedback from anyone that's listening to these, to me reading this. Right now, I'm getting feedback from Becca and from Izzy. Getting some from Callie. And also I've gotten some from Will, but that's about it. So I'd like to know, if there's anyone else out there that's listening to these stories. So until next time, take care. Have a great rest of the week, guys. It's just the beginning, right, of the week. So get your work done. All right, take care. Bye.